The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday in the Riv. And it's going to be a big show today. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, but let's lead with our always COVID numbers from Starfleet Admiral COVID.
Okay. Total cases in Massachusetts, 626,550. Total new cases is 1,884. Total deaths is 17,087. New deaths is 5. Bristol County has 62,667. Fall River counts. We have two different counts. We have the mayor's count and we have the city's count. The city's count is total cases is 13,331. Total deaths is 360. The mayor's count is total cases, let me get this, 13,512 with total fatalities at 360. So the 360 count's the same, but the number of total cases is different. The mayor says it's 13,512. And the press release from the city says it's 13,311. There was 181 new cases. So again, government at its best, two different numbers, no idea who's right. And this isn't the first time. And I have another COVID appointment, COVID announcement. Vaccines today, Friday, April 16th from 10 a.m., right after we go off the air from our live broadcast, to 4 p.m. at the Niagara Neighborhood Senior Center on Tucker Street. They are offering Pfizer vaccines. Walk-ups are eligible. So if you haven't made an appointment on the CIC website, you can just go to the neighborhood center, walk in, and get your vaccine. On Sunday, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Mary L. Fonskers Elementary School on Wall Street. Same thing. If you just walk in, you'll get the vaccine. They prefer that you register online, but if you haven't, don't let it stop you from going out and getting a vaccine. It's available. Do it now while you've got the chance.
Well, good work, CJ. Keep them informed. At least our message is consistent. It's nice to know the city is as uncoordinated with the COVIDs as they are with the government. So two different numbers. The city numbers do not coincide with the CEO of the city's numbers. So again, there's chaos reigning free, but that's normal. And I think we left off Wednesday's show talking about the joint meeting, and I think we really have to kind of have a re-encapsulation of some of the problems that we were pointing out, because I think it's important, especially for the voters and especially the way things are going. You know, what we saw at that meeting was something that's very, very troubling to me, and should be troubling to everyone, because it's the first time that I can ever remember, and maybe you can, if you've seen it before, please let me know when. But I watched this stuff fairly closely. But this is the first time that our government has basically said it's their job to produce more revenue so they can have more jobs. That's
Correct.
Not what they're there for. This is the problem. This is why we now have 9 assistant superintendents or whatever title they call them. I mean, let's just look at that, because there's the biggest
It's between
as
7
far
and
as
9,
I'm
I believe.
concerned.
It's between 7 and 9.
Yeah, well, whatever. He's getting
Whatever the
more.
number is, it's
He's
large.
getting more.
That's right. It's large.
Yeah, it's large. All right. So let me say let's go over that, CJ. They cut his salary because he was a screw up. Then now they gave him it all back plus a pay raise. So there you go. Money wasted. He should be fired. Instead, he gets a pay raise, and he gets more assistance. So let's look at this. He has 6 to 9, or who knows, maybe more to come. It's like court packing. They just keep throwing numbers at you. But he's got all these assistants to do what? We have principals at every school, vice principals at every school, CFOs. We have deans of students in the middle schools. And I'm assuming, and you shouldn't assume, but I'm pretty good guess. Let's say I'm guessing, and I think it's a pretty solid guess that all these jobs come with nearly six-figure salaries or nearly six-figure salaries. So let's look at this. We got a superintendent of schools making over $200,000. He gets 6 or 8 or 9 or 7 or 8 or 9. How many assistants? To assist them to do what? Maybe they're mini hymns and they go out and harass elderly people, women, and handicapped people. I don't know. How much supervision do we need? The school department is out of control. Ed reform destroyed public school systems. That's why people are screaming to get rid of public schools. Because public schools spend more of their money with this type of BS jobs, administrative jobs. They are over-administrated. The superintendent of schools does not need 6, 7, 8, or 9 assistants because each school has their own hierarchy of supervision. Do you know of a school without a principal, CJ?
Not that I know of.
Do we have any? Do we have schools without principals? Most of them have vice principals. Most of them have a whole bunch of other people, administering ridiculous things like attendance, attendance czar or something. It's probably one of those laying around in the weeds. Somebody that's getting paid to check to see how many people are going to school because it's irrelevant, especially now with the pandemic. But I mean, here's a case where they admitted, look, it's our job just to make an employment agency and screw the taxpayers. That's code for screw the taxpayer. And this is a problem. This is a problem. That it's their job specifically to increase taxes, get in overrides, bond, increase fees, so they can get more money to employ all their friends. And this is disturbing. That's why I want to re-highlight that point for the people. Remember, when you're voting for that school committee, remember who kept Malone. Remember who continues to allow these jobs to be created. And they said, I think you said, didn't Malone say, well, this money is for administrative stuff or something like that? Well, how about this idea? And I floated this idea to a city councilor. Matter of fact, last night. How about using that money for administration rather than pay 6, 7, 8, or 9 assistant superintendents? How about seeking out some real effective educational initiatives and then pay to administer those initiatives to educate our children? Wouldn't that seems to me a far better use of money than giving some political hack a $100,000 a year job? But go figure. Maybe it's just me. I'm convoluted that way. I think we should actually spend our money wisely. But then again, that's why I'm not a politician.
Just so people know what I was doing Today is the 10th day, the expiration of the 10 business day notice issued to the school department in regards to the investigative report from Matt Malone. I did not receive my copy of that report yesterday, so I just sent an email off to Deb Camara telling her the 10-day order has expired. Where is the report? If there is a problem with this report being provided, please contact me. Because I'm going to turn it over to the Secretary of State because the 10-day business order is expired. Oh, well. Such is life. They're supposed to do what they're supposed to do. And we know that when we're going to get it, there's going to be a lot of black over all the words in that report. But the people want to know. They want to know where this administrative money is going. That $124 and change per student. Per student.
Yeah. Well, look, it's a sad commentary that we have public officials, and every one of those, the gang of four should be out on their ear in the next election. So please, people, if you care about your school children, you care about the system itself, which is chronically underperforming, yet chronically overpaid. Let's do something about it. Run for school committee. Vote for anybody but the gang of four, because they have conspired to cover this up from day one. They still are fighting tooth and nail not to give the public the information. The public that they were elected to serve by our Constitution, that says they are our substitutes and at all times answerable to us and our agents. They will not give us that information. They cover everything up like they do all the time for their people. But if it was somebody else, it'd be on the front page of the Herald News. If it was someone that didn't fit politically, they would have published that report in the Herald News.
Right.
And this is what's disturbing. We have a phantom government. You can't get any information out, even the media. And as bad as the media is, just look at on a national level. Facebook is now beginning to take down all stories about the BLM leader who's just spent $3.2 million buying houses for herself.
Yep.
All over the country and in the Bahamas. They will not allow that to be publicized. You have someone who's collected hundreds of millions of dollars for Black Lives Matter, is a self-proclaimed Marxist, and is now buying houses in predominantly white neighborhoods. I guess she doesn't want to hang around with her BLM friends. I guess one of the houses she bought in California, I think it was over 98% white.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm going to say, well, she's got a right to do that. Yeah, she's got a right to buy a house anywhere she wants. But now you have to question her commitment to her own cause.
Correct.
She got this money for Black Lives Matter, yet to her, nice houses matter more than black lives, you have to assume. But our national media is suppressing it. They're taking it off. You can't even share that information. And it is accurate. It is true. And it's happening here in Fall River. It came to a neighborhood near you. The Fall River School Committee is intentionally suppressing information that should be released to the public. And here's CJ waiting for his paperwork, and it's not coming. And they're going to use every manipulation they can and excuse to delay it as long as they can. But guess what? Somebody better tell those dummies we're going to get it eventually. And if the longer they delay it, the closer it is to the election season.
That's it.
Duh.
And, the big question is, it's not that hard to do. They have the report. They have to redact it a little bit, probably, the names of people. But they've had 10 business days. That's 2 weeks. to get this report ready and have it made available to everybody. And they're still dragging their feet on it. So my question is, what's the problem? Did they get an extension from the Secretary of State that nobody knows about? I doubt it. Secretary of State's office was pretty emphatic when they said 10 business days. So what is 10 business days? It's 2 weeks.
Well, we know, CJ, why they're doing it. That's a rhetorical question, I know. But the reality is that it should take them 10 minutes to get that report ready. It's already done, right? All I have to do is redact a few names. I mean, if you went over that report and you redacted it, it'd probably take you 10 minutes, not 10 days.
Right.
And so, look, this has been an absolute obscene example of political corruption. One of the worst I've ever seen in my entire life dealing with Fall River politics. I mean, this is just unconscionable. You have school committeemen who categorically refuse, who walk out of meetings. It's just, so they and then walk back in and try to vote, and it's horrific. And they'll never, they did the right thing, and but they won't release a report. They didn't do the right thing. I mean, this man should not be employed. It's that simple. And the city's on the rails for a train wreck here, because we're going to get $70 million from the feds to blow on stuff to all the blue states, and they're going to use it for bailout money, and they're all going to be happy. We got money to spend, and we can get reelected because we're going to throw money around. But the problem is they're going to spend it all. Plus, they're spending so much of it, they're talking about bringing in a debt override. So they're urinating money as fast as they get it.
Of course. And you heard Mark Costa. You heard him very clearly. It's time for the city to find other sources of revenue. What does revenue mean? Revenue means taxes. That's what it means. Revenue means taxes. So for Mark Costa to turn around and say the city needs to find another source of revenue, he's the spend then tax guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What's the city going to do? Mark Costa, number one, is involved in law enforcement. Yet he's violating his sworn duty as a law enforcement officer to report Malone to the feds on what he did. He's violating his oath and responsibility as a school committeeman to represent the people and the best interest of the people. And he shows how little he knows about government. This isn't a business. How do you generate revenue if you're a government? Does Fall River own a bakery and a sub shop and a restaurant somewhere in the city? And let's look for some new revenue sources. Maybe we can open up a strip club or something down on a waterfront. This is ludicrous. This is ludicrous to listen to these imbeciles talking in front of a camera. It's like government is here for the people. A government of the people, by the people, and for the people. This is not a business. We don't sell a product. You are there only to provide services to the taxpayer, not to have an employment agency for your friends to cover up stuff and then walk merrily off back to your job over there and then enforce the law over there, but allow this guy to stay employed. And not only stay employed, talk about throwing a 55-gallon drum of salt in the wound. You give him a damn pay raise. You all crowed how you were going to cut his pay. Oh, we're cutting his pay. See, we took We took some money from him. Oh, see, bad boy, slap on the wrist, Matty boy. But then what happens? You gave him all the money back plus a pay raise. You know, people wake up. These people need to be run out on a rail because they're all what the federal government is. They're massive hypocrites. It's do as I say, not as I do. They get their relatives and their friends' jobs. They tell you that it's the job of this city to find new sources. And as CJ said, there's only one way they can get resources. What are we going to do? Are we going to go into business? That's not what government's about. We don't have a construction company. So we're going to go out and start building houses. We're going to flip houses. What business are we in? Government is in the business of providing services to the people who fund government, not all their friends and cronies. And when you start learning that and putting people in who do that, who watch your tax dollar and refuse to accept that, not one person, when he said that, jumped up and went down his throat with both feet and called him out.
But City Councilor Trott Lee said that the joint meeting was very productive. I don't know where it was productive because several city councilors that I spoke to said there was nothing productive about this meeting. It was a waste of time. So I don't know what planet, universe, or, dimension that City Councilor Lee is in, but I didn't find anything productive about that meeting myself. All I heard was how much money I need to spend. And the worst part about it is, on the city council agenda for Tuesday, it's more spending for the school department. They're bringing back that $1.8 million. It's now $2.4 million for that football field. And they're bringing back the Watson School. The Watson School is required to be done. Don't get me wrong. And that's okay. While I don't like the fact that we have to do it, we have to do it. But the football field, even after all of the comments about we don't need a football field, they still want that football field. They still want it. They don't care what they charge the taxpayer.
And that's right. And there you go, CJ. And look, as you said, Councilor Lee is entitled to his opinion. If he thought that was productive, well, I guess his definition of productive and my definition of productive is a little different. I think it really revealed a lot about what's wrong with the city, but it wasn't productive. But if you said, I don't know why, I can tell you why. Or at least in my opinion, because this is my opinion. I'm not saying. I think that Councilor Lee realizes we're getting into the election cycle. So we're gonna, and also the books piled up on the desk there before that optic did not go unnoticed. Pile up books and papers on your desk and make it look like you guys are really diving in. But I didn't see a lot of probative questions. There are fundamentally only 3 city councilors that I have seen over the course of this entire term who consistently appear, whether I agree or disagree with where they're going with the issue, do their homework, have some numbers, and have a understanding of what's being discussed at more than a peripheral level. And that is Council President Ponte, Sean Kadim, and Michelle Dion.
Correct.
Those 3 councilors have, on more than one occasion, not just the last couple of days, but throughout the year, have asked, and we've seen it. They've gotten into some altercations with their own councilors. We saw the back and forth between Kadim and Kilby, and I love football, Phil Kilby, and but the fact is that this is the problem, and we've always complained on this show that they get the information far too late. But to me, the only people that do some in-depth studies of this stuff, and it's shown by the questions that they ask and the follow-up questions. See, there's the key. The key is it's not just the initial question. It's when they don't give you a sufficient answer and you ask them another question and another question. Shows you've done your homework. So, I mean, the whole thing is, it's just, that was a very revealing meeting, and it was productive in the way of educating our population that what these people's agenda is. But we've got to, I think you can go back to this, but I think we've got to mention this thing about the building and grounds guy and the charges. And I know you got a ton of phone calls, and so did I.
Yeah.
There is everybody is innocent until proven guilty. These charges are horrific. And if they're true, hopefully he will be incarcerated. But he is innocent until proven guilty. However, I only want to make one statement, because I'm going to wait till he has his due process and we get both sides of this story. But the fact that this is here brings up another very important fact, because you and I, CJ, sat in a council meeting when he admitted to falsifying an overtime form.
Yes, he did. And he charged it to the school department. Fundamentally committing a crime, falsifying a payroll document. And he did not get fired. He continued his employment, has gotten pay raises, and now look at what he's brought to the city. They had their opportunity to can him, and they should have. But they didn't, because they never do when they fit. And therein lies the problem that I see. And we remember, and we talk about it on our show, that's when the infamous Terry Sullivan rule came in. Because when he walked back from the well after committing, falsifying a public record, a payroll record, and got nothing, you and I both heard what he said to Terry. What Terry Sullivan said to him: keep your mouth shut, keep your head down, and they'll be on to something else by the next meeting. And that usually does happen.
And they were.
Yep. And that's the problem. There's no accountability. There's no accountability at all in city government. I mean, there are so many things piling up on my desk that I'm trying to get information on, trying to find some substance to and some backup to, and other people who are willing to confirm it. And it's almost impossible to do because people are afraid. Because they're afraid something's going to happen to their job, to them, to their promotion, to their raise. And when you consider the fact that right now the mayor is trying to pay off his friends again by giving them all raises, removing the salary caps on them, it says a lot. I mean, just remember, like we said in the last couple of shows ago, Ann O'Neill Souza is being paid over the salary cap. And the mayor's justification is, well, that's because of contract. Well, too bad it's because of contract. The salary cap is the salary cap. That's the ordinance. Get over it. So, well, we're out of time. We're at the end of the time that we have for our show. We never have enough. Just so people know, on Monday, we will not be having a show. It's Patriots Day. And as such, it's a state holiday, so we will not be having a show. But I can tell you that next Tuesday is the big day. Next Tuesday is the start of the Jazel Correa trial. So keep your ears and eyes open for that one. I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing weekend. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, hold your politicians accountable, and wear a mask. Thanks for watching.